We want to welcome you tonight, and we're so excited that those of you who are with us, and those of you who will be listening to the recording. I know we have numerous friends on the East Coast, and it's just a little late for them tonight. So welcome to you. Health is the key to life, and it makes it possible for us to get out the door and challenge ourselves and to find joy. There are a few things more important than health. Throughout history, there have been many breakthroughs in health technology that have made our lives longer, more vibrant, and more joyful. They have changed the way we think and the way we live. This is where the future lies. But what if we had a breakthrough that was small? A breakthrough technology that works at the cellular level. That's where life begins. A technology that helps the basic building blocks of your body to thrive. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about that small technology and redox signaling. And we're going to start out with our friend Alan, who is wonderful at sharing what it is and what it isn't. So Gloria, can you help us to listen to Alan?
Absolutely.
My name is Alan Noble, and welcome to RailRedoxResults.com. On this website, you have access to lots of videos of real people sharing real results that they've experienced using ASEA's advanced redox signaling technology. You can simply browse through the videos or pick a particular subject that is important to you. However, if this is your first introduction to ASEA, then allow me to give you a brief overview so you can better understand why people are experiencing such amazing results. ASEA Redox represents a cutting-edge health and anti-aging technology, a new category in science that for 2 decades science had declared was impossible. A technology that many experts are calling the single greatest health science breakthrough of our lifetime. A great place to start is to get clear on what ASEA Redox is not. It is not a vitamin, a mineral, antioxidant, exotic juice, essential oil, or CBD oil. In fact, this technology goes beyond nutrition and ingredients, and yet can impact your health at a depth that no other supplement has ever come close to achieving. For many people, ASEA Redox is the missing link to better health and vitality. To grasp this breakthrough, you must understand that your body is the most complex communication network on Earth. Every second of every day, your cells pass tremendous amounts of important information throughout the body. Any breakdown in this communication, in this signaling, and you cannot achieve your full health potential. A simple example, your home goes on fire and you call the fire department. They have the fire truck, firefighters, fire hose, everything they need to put out the fire. However, if you don't have a good cell signal, they don't get the message and your home goes up in flames. Well, it's the same in your body. If your cells can't signal, then little else matters. ASEA Redox is the world's first redox signaling supplement that harnesses the power of the same redox signaling molecules that your body uses for this critical signaling process. This astonishing technology with 2 delivery systems, the ASEA Redox drink and the topical gel, Renew 28, has been validated by third-party independent science. And thanks to multiple patents, there is nothing else like it in the world. In a recent independent 8-week study with Torre Laboratories, a leading genetic research lab, it was found that drinking ASEA Redox could increase important gene signaling pathways by up to 31%, impacting 5 major areas of health: immune function, inflammatory response, cardiovascular and digestive health, as well as hormone balance. So at this point, let's take a listen to what health and medical professionals are saying about ASEA's redox signaling technology.
Inside every cell in your body, you're constantly producing negative and positive molecules called oxidants and reductants. And the contraction of that name is redox.
So with these molecules, we're amping up that communication. We're helping that cell signal.
Without these cell signaling molecules, we simply wouldn't do the gene replication that we need, the DNA sequencing that we need. These redox signaling molecules interact throughout the body with every cell that we know.
Every cell in our body needs these molecules for communication purposes. The more balanced they are, the more abundant they are, the healthier we are.
ASEA actually has the combination of the oxidants and the reductants that the body makes. So all we're doing with ASEA is enhancing what the body is already doing.
Having a product, a technology that's native to the body doesn't have to worry about detoxifying it because it knows exactly what to do with redox molecules. It's one of, if not the safest recommendation I ever make to a patient. They found a way to stabilize them outside the body. You can actually put them back into bodies that are deficient in those molecules. That's a game changer.
To have something that at its molecular level is native to the body is nothing short of a breakthrough. This is something that's foundational for health, for every cell. It affects every cell in our body. And not just the cells, but the very DNA within those cells. You know, we talk about the discovery of DNA as being a huge breakthrough, the discovery of penicillin. Yes, these were absolutely huge discoveries. But now we have something that actually goes even deeper.
Redox signaling molecules are like the DNA whisperer. They signal cells to be healthy. And because of age, because of medications, because of toxicity in the environment, you lose your ability to make the redox signaling molecules. So having them with ASEA simply replenishes what your body is doing natively when you were young. You know, I've been in the business for 40 years, and this is the first time that I've ever heard about the redox signaling molecules, which to me is a breakthrough of the 21st century, akin to the electric light bulb in the 20th century and maybe even the discovery of penicillin. Because your body is a redox signaling program, and to be able to replenish it on a day-to-day basis, internally and externally, is not just a breakthrough, it's a game changer.
So as you can hear, ASEA Redox truly is being hailed as the most significant health science breakthrough of our lifetime. And it's not just health. Casual athletes all the way to Olympic athletes are experiencing improvements in endurance, strength, and recovery, beating personal bests and breaking documented world records. In a recent university study, mice drinking ASEA for only 7 days ran 29% further to exhaustion due to significant metabolic shifts as their body started to burn more fat as fuel. And I'm sure you've heard it said that seeing is believing. Well, this same technology, when applied to the skin, results in a healthy, clear complexion, tighter, younger looking skin, while dramatically reducing wrinkles, stretch marks, cellulite, and many other signs of aging, all while using the body's natural renewal processes. I want to thank you for taking some time and watching this brief overview. I would now encourage you to explore some of the other videos featuring people that I've had the pleasure of interviewing over the last year or so, real people sharing real redox results. This is Alan Noble thanking you for your time today, and bye for now.
The most significant health breakthrough in our lifetime. I am so grateful that Virtus and our founders chose people over the mighty dollar. And I'm thankful that he chose Next Level Marketing, where together we may impact lives for greater good. Gloria, can you tell us about Rosie?
Yes, Rosie is an inspiration to all of us. At the age of 84, she started her ASEA journey. And
she really didn't think it was doing anything for her. Fortunately, her son had taken a picture of her before she started using ASEA. And 7 weeks later, she could see there really was a remarkable difference. Rosie's continued to use the ASEA daily, and you can see how she's continued to progress, reversing aging from 86 to 87, and most recently at 91. She is an inspiration to us all.
And I'd like to introduce Cynthia. She has so many wonderful stories. In fact, she has made a list. She'll have to tell you how many things that it has changed in her life. And it's also been a big help to her son. So Cynthia, go ahead and share with us. You're muted.
Thank you, Marian, for the invitation to share what happened with Justin. As you know, our family is all ASEA, all about ASEA, and I have a dog that's sitting on my lap right now because she wants to be part of this as well and is healthy because of ASEA. So, hello, everyone. This is Justin about 4 years ago. He took a horrible fall in our kitchen, smacked his head on that hard kitchen floor. And after we were assured in the ER, in the emergency room, that he hadn't fractured his skull, we went through a long recovery process. Justin can vouch for that. But what we didn't realize was that his brain, or soft matter inside his skull, had been banged and shook too. So during the following 3+ years, Justin began showing various signs from what happened to that soft matter. He became angry, anxious, and felt hostile all the time. And these traits increased every day. It was a nightmare for him and for me too. And we were pretty much at our wits' end, wouldn't you say, Justin? So this is what our mornings would start off like. I would say, good morning, and he would say, what do you want? That's how it was. It was a nightmare. And he was also suffering chronic and extreme headaches almost daily. Then on May 4th, just last year, 2021, he took his first 2 ounces of ASEA Redox and walked about 25 feet to sit down, but never made it there before he exclaimed, "Oh!" And that was his head that he was talking about that suddenly felt better.
Wow.
It seemed like it was less than a month, and Justin was feeling very well. And it absolutely is clear that he's back to his happy self. And we don't have those awful mornings anymore. I was just thinking last week about how this time right now, he is the best cognitively since his childhood. And he's now streaming on the internet and generating income while he's socializing with others online. And I don't know, I didn't add that Justin was always considered a special needs child. He had some damage to his brain very early on as a toddler. So this redox is a miracle to us. I've got my son back after 3 years, more than 3 years.
Thank you for sharing that. That just touches my heart. How this can change our health and our relationships and just give us a better quality of life. The next picture, you'll wonder, well, what does that have to do with ASEA? We have been very fortunate. because we've helped enough people that ASEA has blessed us with some extra money for our family. And we were able to take our two granddaughters, Ashley and Emily, to Antigua, Guatemala for a mission trip. Oh, it was amazing to be able to give our love and receive love from these wonderful people. They were poor, they were hungry. One lesson I learned, these kids sometimes would only have a meal a day or maybe not even that. And at the feeding center, which they were able to come to a couple times a week, they often were given fruit or food. And there were so many of them, they could only take about a third at a time. So when they would leave, they'd have their oranges or their apples, and other children would run up to them and they would share. And that would mean they couldn't have it themselves or the other people in their family. They just loved one another. And it made such an impact on my grandkids that Ashley, when she was married several months later, went back so that her new husband could experience these wonderful people. And Emily, the one in the center picture up there, fell in love with it. So when she graduated from high school several months later, she went back and she lived there for 3 or 4 years, fell in love, married a person from the mission there, and they're going to have a baby now. So they're here in the United States shortly, and then they will go back. So thank you, ASEA. You've touched our lives and changed our lives. Can we have the next picture? So this is the heart of ASEA. They have trips that they go to help third world countries, to help building cisterns for places they don't have water, help building wells, schools, just making their lives better. And I love it because up in the top corner is our CEO. And the next picture is our founder. They go and they work. And let me tell you, this is hard labor, uncomfortable sleeping conditions. And they bring their families, their kids, as do associates. We all help to pay for their what we're able to do there. But I know from experience, teaching the next generation about giving and loving one another. This is just an amazing company. Another area we're working with are the numerous slave trade that's going on with men, women, children. And so we have a foundation that we help with that. So I'd like to take a break here and introduce Jerry White. He is the person who introduced me to ASEA. And he has a medical background, being a head research physical therapist at the Shriners Hospital. And I know from the many stories that he shared, the best part about that was working with these children who had severe health challenges, sometimes lacking limbs. And they were the most courageous, beautiful children. He is an adjunct professor in biomechanics and physiology, also a coach, swim coach, triathlon coach. So welcome, Jerry. I would love to have you share with us why you love ASEA, and then we'll follow up with any questions that people might have. You're muted, Jerry.
For all of you who are not the lip readers, they understood completely what I was saying. This choice was the easiest choice I ever made. I came from working with some of the fittest people in the world and some of the sickest people in the world. Some that had the most damaged neurologic systems, and some of them who were on the way to being Olympic champions. But there's one basic thing that makes us all people, makes us all living beings, and they're all built around these little dudes called cells. When I was finally introduced to this, it began to tell that everything in you, from your hair to your knees, from your liver to your lumbago, which is sort of a made-up word. All of them are made of cells, and those cells actually have a life of their own, but they work together in a miraculous way in this thing called life. When I first got introduced to this, it was through the science of redox signaling. And I was asked by a couple of friends, a couple of housewives, one from Boise and one from Spokane, who said, we've been introduced to this company down here, and the stuff that they're doing is crazy. In fact, we would like to have you come down here and tell us, is this even possible? What they're doing is they're taking salt and water in Salt Lake City, and they've done something to it that has never been done before. Can you tell us what it's all about? So they paid for me to go down there and take a look. I was astounded. It began to answer all kinds of questions about how the cells take in information from the world, share that information with different parts of the body, how it shares it with different parts of the cell, how it takes that information back and reads the DNA and builds stronger cells or repairs. And if we trace it, there's a series of special molecules that we begin to start to lose at a rate of about 1% every year. And that causes us to lose that special ability. Cynthia, I want you to remember back when you were really small, and those cells could actually make an entire human being in 9 months. Building arms and hands and, well, you probably can't remember that, but I just brought it up anyway. But arms and legs and feet and toenails and the whole thing, building those things. And then the day that you're born, you can't rebuild them. And yet the DNA is the same that it was when you first became that little embryo. What happened? We didn't know. And why, when you're a little kid, can you heal a cut in 2 days with no scar? But even just as quick as by the time you're 5 years old, that scar takes longer and longer to close and requires a scar for a patch. What's going on here? Why is it that you can be the plumpest, juiciest little kid with this most amazing skin that changes every 14 days? Then you could get into where I'm coming up on my 50th high school reunion, and our skin doesn't look the same. And it's susceptible to all kinds of problems because the skin cells are being asked to last, instead of 14 days before they get a replacement, up to 120 days when you get older. Well, it kind of makes sense. They get so bombasted with the surrounding environment, they can't keep up with the repair, the replacement, and oftentimes can't even tell what comes next. Mix that together with a world where we're involved with radio waves, microwaves, lack of hydration, lack of exercise, air pollution, water pollution, light pollution, sound pollution, too little sleep, and physical damage and all kinds of stuff. We eventually start to age. In fact, if you think about it, even those of you who are watching this, nobody's watching, but raise your hand if you know somebody who's aging. This interesting proposition of aging is kind of losing the ability to bounce back. What we have discovered is the ability to take this miraculous material that you either drink it, you can apply it topically, you can actually put it as eye drops, you can inhale it. And Justin's story touched me. You know, when I worked with those families, when one of the kids just gets banged up, to no fault of their own, when their whole nervous system goes like off into left field, it affects the whole family. It affects how you operate. It affects how you communicate. It affects your world. And to see a family begin to come back together, that's why we do this. Each and every one of us has little like buckets we can choose from for taking this information, and for some of it, it's a crusade. I have got to get this to the world. It's the most remarkable thing I've ever seen, where we can literally add back this simple, safe material that is not the things we used to really think about, as Alan was pointing out, are vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, proteins, waters, and special oils and CBD and all that. Those are things that are foreign to the body, that it has to adapt to take and use and break them down and find the parts and put them all together. What this is finally found out how the cell hires a contractor, the contractor that knows what to do with those spare parts and materials. It's uncanny, the hundreds of millions of things that have to happen every single second in every cell to adapt to a changing world. Well, what we're finding is that the loss of the letters of the alphabet that are produced when we start to make energy, because we're losing the little factories at 1% per year, if we could just replace those letters, we call them redox signaling molecules, the body doesn't know how to do it wrong. In fact, it's gone through a numbers of years to build the body in the first place, to do all that amazing stuff you did. Gloria, you remember when you could like jump out of a tree and do, backflips and all that stuff, and it never bother you. And then later on, you start creaking and like crunching and doing all that stuff. But what if we could, since every cell has to make new ones to replace it, what if we could just remind it how to read fully the DNA it was reading back in the embryo? It would portend to some of the most remarkable changes we've ever seen, kind of taking us back and rebuilding what we used to do. Now, that seems like bloody magic at first, because of what we saw in those photos, because what we saw in Justin's story. Internally, in the soft tissue in the brain, those are cells, and those cells are having to work together, and they have to communicate. Well, now once they start to communicate, they go, whoa, you're awesome. Let's work together. Wouldn't it be also amazing if we could come together as people and say, I think we're getting more and more separated from one another, so we can't be as creative as we used to be. And isn't life a better journey when we can walk that journey together and share it with other people? So that I'm going to give you a few options at this point. Now, number one is, you have my permission to be fascinated. And from that point, to learn more, to be involved, and to come into the 21st century in terms of how the body understands and fixes itself. You're looking at the health of the future. So many people look at it because they have a health issue and they want to get over their health issue. You know what I think? I think it's not just about getting over the symptoms. I think it's about getting us so robustly cared for that we can begin to start to turn away from our own issues, reach down and pull somebody up and assist them to get theirs. So that's an option that we provide for people, is they can get this and use it, or you can use it like this family has. Cynthia had said, you know what, I'm going to do this for my son. What a difference it's made. And then to turn around and say, okay, we've done that. Now let's go out and make a difference with other people's families. And like, you see that dog right there says, I love ASEA. There's a waving there saying. And we see then the second one a lot of people will do is to say that this actually works better on animals than it does on people. And I know, there's a few people on your block where if the dog needs surgery and maybe their spouse needs surgery, they'll choose the dog first. I mean, it's just so important to them that they're members of their family. And so that's a whole area that you might enter through. A third area you might enter through is to say, I really, really, really want to not just get healthy, to begin to go beyond healthy. To that point we call health beyond danger. You take the hits from the world and you go, bring it on. Where you can be incredibly active, like this crazy Marian Palmer over here who's doing hikes along the Pacific Crest Trail. And you know what? It's been more than, well, I shouldn't tell you this, but It's coming up on more than 65 years since she was a high schooler. And amazing. I mean, she's out just doing, in fact, looking better and younger all the time. That's a factor is, hey, if we have a choice, we don't know how long we're going to live, but we might as well live it up and not just kind of curl up in the corner. You know, like spiders do, and the legs go like this and then you dry out. Well, why would you want to do that? Let's go for the better stuff. Then there's another option that you can choose to do where you say, I would really like to have this sort of side thing going on where it helps to cover some expenses in our lives. We'll teach you how to do that. And then we teach ourselves in another option where the economy is going and how to get plugged into what's coming instead of what was. Through that, we get people that want to maybe match their income. Dave tells me, David here, he's a pilot, and he says, you know, it'd be a fun experiment is to get a few people to match their income and then watch what they do with that. So they've got their daytime activities, and in the evening, they're developing their fortune, and watch what they do with it. Watch how benevolent they can become. Watch how interesting that is. And then there's a final group that says, this is going to be a big old thing. We're doing $200 million a year. We can't seem to cause harm for anyone, and almost nobody knows about it. So as we gather together and make teams, especially Gloria, who has seen the light, and she's going to make a team that goes not just around the block and around the corner, not even just in the upper corner of the United States where we're coming from now, but we'll begin to start to plant some seeds and grow some groups of people that will cover nations. The company right now allows us to be in 33 different countries. And for $40, you can buy worldwide distribution rights. That's a pretty good option. And with those distribution rights, then we put kind of a challenge out on the table and says, set up a distribution team. We got all the tools for it. This particular team is really good at teaching that. And some will choose that. So in your own mind, if you have seen something that triggers a life that's better than yours right now, I want you to consider, do you have enough information to actually make a move and start moving toward that? So if you do, get back to the people that brought you. They'll show you the ropes on how to get what you need to develop what you need to get to a point where you're over you, where you're beyond your own basic needs, and then become. So I'm going to throw this back to Gloria, and Gloria or Marian. Marian started this, so which one? We're
I'll let Gloria finish.
What's that?
I'll let Gloria finish.
All right, well, there we go, Gloria.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry. I always love getting to hear what you're going to share with us each time we get to have you on here.
That's what you asked me to do, is to close the same every time, and I just don't.
No, it makes it entertaining for sure. Always learn something new. What I'd like to thank everybody for being here with us today and invite you to join us again tomorrow. I'm going to be hosting my friend and colleague, Dr. Marian Sides, in a 5-week webinar series that is aimed to shift the thinking in health and wellness. And it's going to be fascinating. So I hope you'll join us there.
It'll finally give you that opportunity to be way smarter than the other people in your neighborhood. So sign up for that.
Were there any questions? I want to thank those of you who are here today. And for those of you in outer space who are going to be watching it on video, you're going to have to send your questions directly to someone who shared the video with you. But anyone who's here, do you have any questions?
All right. Well, if you come up with some, you can reach out to us and we'll get back with you then. And we hope to see you again next week at the same time here and tomorrow 3 o'clock p.m.